Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Ladies Best Life podcast. Today I have got an incredible guest here with me. This lady joined the coaching club in October 2021, so over 2 years ago now, which is absolute madness. And we've worked together really closely over this past couple of years. And I've asked her to come on today because she is a fucking inspiration, hands down. Just looking at her face right now, like, ground swallowing me up. And I know that so many of you listening to this podcast today will get an abundance of wisdom, value, and connection from listening to this. So, Michelle, thank you so much for being here today. I would love for you to kind of just introduce yourself a bit more thoroughly. Who are you? You know, tell us a bit more about your life. Let's go.
Okay, I'm Michelle, obviously, and as you said, I've been in for a couple of years now. I own my own business. I've got a shop in Shrewsbury called White Lotus Living, so that keeps me extremely busy. I also have a lovely 9-year-old son and a new puppy. So yeah, running around all over the place.
Love that. And yeah, when you said to me you were getting a puppy, I was like, oh my God, like life is so busy already, but it looks like you're bossing it.
I'm getting there, definitely getting there. It's a learning curve, but I'm sticking to my routines and getting the puppy into a good routine. So fingers crossed, it'll all work out.
And he's adorable, so that makes it so much easier. So I want to explore with you today a bit about your journey. You know, I say to the people listening to this all the time, I'm not here to sell. Like, this is not about us selling or being like, come and join the coaching club. It's just about sharing stories, inspiring people, and connecting and relating. That's all it's about. So I want to go back to, who were you pre-CC? You know, we can go right the way back. We can go as far back as you want to go. But, you know, because at the point when you joined, that's when you knew you needed help, albeit you didn't want help because you're like, I should be able to do this on my own. We spoke about that recently. Mm-hmm. But I kind of want to paint a picture for everyone who's listening about who was MG pre-CC.
Okay, pre-CC, I had recently, I suppose, started the business. It had been going for 3 years maybe. And during that time, there was obviously COVID, which was extremely stressful as a independent business owner, not knowing how long it would go on for and whether or not customers would be coming back in the shop and all of that and what to do in the meantime. So that was a really, really crazy time for me. But also there was a lot of other personal things going on in my life at that time. And I think that, as well as stuff in my childhood, I got to a point where I was just like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? I was at burnout probably, and I didn't think that I was actually living. You know, life was passing me by, which sounds really, really weird, really, really odd. But I just was on a treadmill doing stuff, but not actually paying any attention to what I was doing. So yeah, I think I likened it to being on a bus or something like that at the time. But I just didn't know where to turn. I had no idea what to do, where to start. And then saw a couple of posts that you put on Facebook. And I was just like, okay, that sounds relatable. And then I think gave you a call and we started from there.
Amazing. Thank you for your honesty. What can you explain a little bit more about how you were feeling? So when you were saying like life was passing you by, I know you've said the thing that you literally could have won an Oscars award for how much you were putting on like a bit of almost like an unintentional show, you know?
Oh, absolutely. It was unintentional, but I constantly wore a mask. And all of my friends thought, or and probably still do think, that I am extremely strong mentally, but actually I wasn't. I was just putting on a front to all of them. because there was so much stuff going on in my head that I couldn't understand, couldn't interpret. And yeah, I was a bit of a fraud, a real fraud. So I needed to unpick all of that. And I didn't know where to start.
It's hard to choose, isn't it? It's hard to know, is it that I need to go down the route of, a personal trainer? Do I need to go down the route of just like looking at my nutrition? Do I need a therapist? Which way do I need to go? So I'm thinking that we're going to have someone, let's call her Sheila, because I love using the name Sheila. We've got Sheila who's listening to this now, similar situation. She's a mum, she's got a busy career. And, all of her friends say that you're the strong one, but actually inside, she just feels X. What is X? Like, what were you feeling? Let's get granular. Let's use the emotions wheel as we've discussed in the CC.
I was completely out of control.
Okay.
And not necessarily out of control as in drinking lots or anything like that, but I was out of control of my life. And I know you can't control other people's lives, but you can at least have control over your own life. I had no control over it at all. And with having a young child, being a single mum, it was me, and it was me on my own doing it. And I wasn't sure whether or not I was bringing up my son properly. I wasn't sure whether I was doing my business right. And I just felt trapped, I suppose, and trapped within my own head. I couldn't rationalize any emotions. I kind of felt actually a bit emotionless.
Okay.
Because I was just constantly on the go. So no thoughts could necessarily come into my head and be a revelation, as it were. Emotions I just batted off. I built up this brick wall around me, so that A, nobody could hurt me, and B, I don't know, I suppose I didn't want anybody to see what was going on inside, even though it was quite empty. Do you know what I mean? I think emptiness is somehow worse, really.
And why didn't you want anyone to see that?
Because I was kind of ashamed in a way. And because I thought if I looked into it, I would completely break down then and not know where to go and what to do. So I probably needed it in a controlled environment where you would start unpicking it slowly, but also have that support there of people who are in your corner to say, yeah, it's all right to sit and cry and listen to your emotions and explore them as well. But I just didn't stop at all to do that. And I know that is the reason why, because I was probably scared of what was going to come out of it.
And a lot of people, like, isn't it bizarre if you think, knowing what you know now, knowing how the process has been, and sure, there's been hard times and all of that, but actually living how you were living before compared to the work, what was harder?
Living how it was, without a shadow of a doubt, so much harder.
But we have such a fear that the work is going to be like hard, or we're going to be found out. But actually, it's never, I don't believe, like when you embark on a journey of change, it's ever as bad as you think it's going to be.
It's not. It's tough sometimes. It is really, really hard.
Definitely.
However, the payoff is huge. And I wish I had done this earlier. I wish you had set up
God's sake, Sasha.
earlier. And yeah, I know it's not a selling thing, but do you know what? If more people could do this, it would be a better world.
Yeah.
Men and women.
Yeah.
Children included as well.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, it is just exploring the things that hold you back and the things that are in my mind when you're talking about how you were feeling. So when you said you were feeling trapped, it feels like there was no element of your needs being met, your values being aligned. And they're the things that you kind of developed and kind of built inside CC and what you've learned about. So did you have a clue or an idea of what they were prior? No.
I had no idea what values were. None whatsoever. Emotional stuff. No idea. It's just like, values? What are values?
Value
and then
for
I had
money.
to go and do a bit of research. It was just like, oh, okay. That's the values.
Imagine if they taught that at school.
Exactly. It would be so much better. And I teach George things like that now.
Love it.
Which is great.
It is so powerful. And the more we can, because it's like we end up being in generational lines. So this is why we can see similarities from how we are to how our parents are or were, you know. And I know there's definitely things I said about it on a CC live a couple of weeks ago. Landed at Birmingham airport, I had to drive to Manchester, and as I was getting closer to Manchester, obviously the sun had set, it was getting dark, and out of nowhere my heart started racing and I was like, what the fuck? And I realized there was this tiny whisper at the back of my mind that was my mum's voice going, you can't be a woman on your own in a city, like it is not safe, like there's going to be, and it's mad, like that's nuts. Conditioning.
It is conditioning. It is. And yeah, I think everybody, you know, you can have the best childhood in the world,
yeah,
but you are conditioned as a child.
Everyone is like, we are all conditioned, like, and even I was thinking about this yesterday as I was washing up, and I was like, what beliefs do I still hold on to that are not my own? And I'm like, imagine if we could think about that on a daily basis, just to ponder, like when you're walking the dog, or I don't know, going somewhere with George and he's doing something, or even chatting about it, and it's like, where are we still holding on to things that are not our own?
That is so interesting. I need to think about that one. I can do that over the weekend.
Definitely do, because it's one of those things where, like, that was a belief in my head that I was getting a physical reaction to, even though it was the tiniest whisper at the back of my mind. So I wasn't there going, fuck, I'm driving into a city, I'm on my own, I'm scared. I was just like, okay, driving. And I was like, recognize these feelings. And I just thought, how powerful.
But it's amazing to be able to recognize those feelings and kind of even quite quickly probably dig deep into it. Whereas I think most people would just shrug it off and go, oh, okay, my heart's racing a bit. I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the traffic in front of me. But it's not, is it? It's that little voice in the back of your head. And
they would maybe say it's just anxiety, but not know where. Oh, I hear this all the time. It's my anxiety. And it's like, okay, but where is that stemming from? And you don't even need to like link it back to childhood, but in this moment right now, what is causing your heart to race? And like you said earlier, you know, I think when we talk about, and I talk a lot about childhood on this, like, my mum is fucking fantastic, you know, and whatever happened with my dad in my childhood, like, I don't ever see it as a bad thing necessarily. And in fact, I've gained some incredible strengths from it. But my childhood was great. You know, I had a really good childhood. Yes, okay, father figure wasn't there, but actually it was brilliant. And my mum was and still only says things to try and keep me safe.
Yeah.
You know?
Comes from love, doesn't it?
Always. But as adults, and this is where, like, I was speaking to a guest that we had in yesterday, Mandy, and I was like, we have the opportunity as adults to reparent ourselves, to challenge our thoughts, to challenge our beliefs, and to go, actually, what belief is holding me back? So I now want to flip this to you. Pre-joining, what beliefs... It's all on the spot today.
It is, isn't it?
What beliefs and thought processes were keeping you stuck for longer?
Probably that I wasn't worthy of the time and the effort to actually undertake something like this. I put all my energy, I suppose, into other people because I was a massive people pleaser, huge people pleaser. And that caused me a huge amount of issues. And then I just thought that everybody else needed me more than I needed me, and never gave myself the time.
And was that a childhood thing?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely relatable back to childhood.
Isn't it crazy how like people pleasers, and it's usually the women, not always, you know, this is not a sexist podcast by any stretch, it is usually the women that end up with people pleasing traits.
Yeah.
Not always. Like Joe Parrish, one of my coaches, is a massive people pleaser and has to work hugely to overcome that and not fall into that. But actually, those are things that, like, when you get taught in school are like, well done, you've done really well, like you've exceeded expectations, or you did the washing up, therefore you will be praised, but you'll get ignored or told off if you don't. And it's all this, and obviously there is a balance, you know, you have to have discipline as a child as well. But actually, I think so many people carry that through to their adult life and don't go, hang on a minute, like, I am putting everybody else before myself. The neighbors, you know, people I hardly know, they're all coming before me. I feel like crap. I feel trapped. But but it doesn't matter.
No.
Because they come first.
Exactly.
Was there some like internal or even external conflict when you started to go, oh, actually, first of all, I'm going to invest money into myself. Then I'm going to spend time on myself. Did you notice any, like, it rocked the boat either with other people or you had challenge in your mind about this?
More that I had challenge in my mind about it. I think, and this is the really, really weird thing, and I know quite a few other ladies experience exactly the same thing. So you didn't really tell anybody that you were doing it. You kind of started the journey.
Oh, okay.
and didn't necessarily tell your friends and shout it from the rooftops, because for me, I felt that I was kind of a little bit ashamed that I couldn't do it on my own.
Yes.
Because I'm supposed to be this strong person. It's like I'm holding my hand up saying, hang on a minute, I need help, you know. And that wasn't like me, because also I don't ask for help. Or I didn't ask for help from anybody else. I can do this. So...
Isn't it mad?
It's crazy. It's crazy. So not many people knew to begin with, but then once I got to grips with what it was all about and what I'd be doing and everything like that, I would slowly just keep on giving them snippets of bits and pieces. And I think to begin with, my very, very close friends sat me down and said, why didn't you come to us? If you were feeling like this, why didn't you come to us and why didn't you tell us? And I was like, I didn't know, if you know what I mean. I didn't know what was wrong, because I needed to unpick it first to be able to then vocalize it to people. And I've had several conversations with people recently with, I suppose, things that I did and the way that I treated certain people pre-doing this. And I didn't understand my emotions. I had no idea. It was probably a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, but within me, I was just like, do you know what? I can't do this. I don't know why. I've got no idea, but I just can't do this. I've got to get out. And it's only since doing all of this work that I've been able to really understand why I did it, and kind of go, here we go, this is why I did it, I'm sorry, but you know, I didn't know any better at the time, but at least I've done the work to be able to rationalize it now and then vocalize it, communicate with them and say, look, this was it.
And spend the time reflecting.
Yeah.
You know, so many people, they'll just go like a bulldozer through life and never spend the time to go, that conversation went a bit Pete Tong, or that situation didn't go how I want it to go. And a lot of the time people just point the finger, blame externally, never accept responsibility. So they just keep going, keep going, keep going. They neglect any opportunity to grow. And I'm like, oh, do you realize like how much value you're missing out on? But when you said before around you didn't ask your friends for help because you kind of didn't know what you needed to ask or how, we normalize our norms. So I think what may have happened for you at some point in your life, you've learned, or it could be, I suppose this is or you are a kind of like a naturally driven, ambitious female. So we, because I'm with you on that, we generally tend to be like, well, I can do it on my own. I'm independent. I can do it on my own. I don't need help. And maybe there's like a slight little subconscious whisper that's like, asking for help is weak.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's like I had a point to prove or something. Is that I can do it on my own. I don't need help. Yeah. That's a sign of weakness. I'm this strong person.
Isn't it mad? But actually, like I now, because like you are not on your own with that thought process. Like, so people join coaching club and it's always a fucking secret. And I'm like, there's two camps, right? Camp one is scared of failing. So they don't want to tell the world that they're doing it. To them, the world be like, coaching club is fucking awesome. How come you haven't got results? Like, why aren't you doing it? You are the failure. So it's like shit. Yeah. Or it's like your camp, which was, if I tell people I'm doing this and I need help, that looks bad. But actually, like, and so many people are in that camp, and I'm like, I share, like, I've got 3 mentors, business mentor, health mentor, and a personal performance mentor, and I love it because if I look at the people that I'm inspired by, right, even my coach Joe Parrish, right, look at him, how many people help him to be held up, or how many people hold him up? You know, it's probably about 5 or 6 people that are in his boardroom. And I'm like, I always think we can learn from the people who we deem, inverted commas, like ahead of us.
Yes.
Yeah. So how can I learn from his behavior and see what he's doing? Because I like his emotional intelligence. I love his level of fitness. I love his level of tenacity. So what does he do that I'm not doing? And if that is hiring a mentor, then let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a perspective switch, isn't it?
It is. It is. And you do a bloody good job at
it. I love it. And again, I was talking to Mandy about this yesterday and on the podcast that we did a couple of weeks ago. And this is my bag. Like, it is so my passion to help people on this planet. Like, the podcast is all about just free value, like help people as much as we can, because we're against diets. We're against people overworking, burning themselves out. Like, we are against so many different things in society. So if I can help in any way, shape or form, then I'm here for it. So I want to go back to your comment earlier around, I want to kind of tap into your driven element and that side of you, because that still exists within you now. Obviously, Coaching Club has helped you to, and your own kind of commitment has helped you to pick apart any of the traits and the ways that you were being and things that you were believing that you don't want to have. So we've kind of like worked to park some of those, but also it's amplified some of your strengths. So I want to first of all ask you, what strengths do you believe this personal development journey has amplified?
Wow, what a question. Holy shit.
Do you know what? I say this every episode. If I don't get one, that's a fucking good question in every episode, I'm not doing my job. So thank you. My job is done. That is the episode over.
Can we just finish now? Okay.
So what strengths have amplified?
I would say I am, without a doubt, a better mother, because I'm more present.
Yeah.
I'm more present around George. I take time. I listen, and I listen properly. I'm not just there doing the washing up whilst he's talking in the background. We sit and we talk.
Love that.
Before, wouldn't have done that. I plan. I'm big into planning. I was so against planning, like insanely against planning. I would rebel against planning. But now I plan, and I would say that, and I do that within my personal life, family life, and work. And I think it's had a massive impact on all and made life so much easier. It's insane. And I enjoy doing it as well. I enjoy spending the time on a Sunday doing it. Because it's time again to reflect on what's worked well the week before, what you need to do the following week and get it all nailed. So that is a big one. And I'm more focused. I was always quite focused, but I think that's been amplified. And again, it's switched. It's not just business focused, because I was extremely business focused. Now it's all about a good work-life balance and having time to do the things that I want to do. So if I want to go to the gym in the morning after I've dropped George off at school, I do it. And I can focus on that, and I can say, right, I'm going to spend an hour here and I'm going to be intentional and get it done. And then I go into work. And focusing on friends and family as well, and spending quality time with them instead of just kind of going out for the sake of going out. I go out when I want to go out. I drink if I want to drink. If I don't want to drink, I don't drink. They don't judge. They're used to me now. And it just, I'm living a more fulfilled life because of it.
Because you've got boundaries in place.
Boundaries.
So powerful. And if we look at your driven element, your ambitious, would you what's the word? Would you say that you're driven and ambitious?
Yes, I would.
Would you use a different word?
Wow.
Is that another good question?
That's another good question. I don't know whether I would.
Okay. How would you describe your work ethic?
I used to describe it as relentless.
Okay.
Whereas now I would describe it as a bit more controlled.
Okay. So you don't believe that you have traits of being driven, ambitious, tenacious?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. I believe that.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. I do believe that. But I think it's in a controlled manner.
Yes.
Rather than going balls to the wall all the time. I know that, especially for the next few years, George is still young.
Yes.
And I want to spend as much time as I can with him, because there's going to be a point in time when he's coming home from school, he wants to go out with his mates.
Yeah.
And so, I can put the hours in then and really, really focus on the business then. Whereas now I just want to spend that time with him. And I know it might just sound a bit like, oh, okay, bit woo or whatever, but actually it's what I want,
It's your values, and you've got to, I always think what drives my decisions is, quite weirdly, but what will I regret later on in life? And if this is something I'm going to regret, I won't fucking do it, or regret not doing.
Yes.
So the reason why I was asking you about drive and ambition is because obviously, like, when you joined Coaching Club, so when you joined, it was like you were rushing from, mum life, you were not present, it was work, and it was like, crazy busy, boundaries weren't that great in quite a few areas, as it isn't for many people. And I was just thinking, like, is there now, this is my thinking fingers, is there a different feeling behind the ambition of wanting to take the business up 5% this year? Or is there any kind of like a different feeling behind the drive of the business side of things when we're looking at ambition?
I mean, the drive behind the business is always going to be, I suppose, in a way, success.
Yeah.
And also money at
yes,
the end of the day.
Of course it is.
I've got to work. And the better the business is, the better, I wouldn't say necessarily lifestyle, but I can do things to the house, I can provide things for George, and experience different things. It's going to sound a bit weird, I'm not necessarily hugely money orientated, but obviously money makes
we need it, right?
Out. We need it.
If you think about it, if your business is making more money, you can give someone else a job. If you wanted to, and you got to the point where you wanted to open up a second premises, you could do that. And it fucking fries my brain how people have this negative association with money. And it's like, hang on a minute, we couldn't be sat here having this conversation if it wasn't for me having a bit of excess money to be able to pay for the studio to do it. It is super important, but it doesn't need to be the main driving force behind what you do. For me, it's impact, hence why a lot of what we do is for free. But where I was going at, right, so you generally find that high achievers, and maybe that's a better way to describe part of your personality, I'm not sure, high achievers, before they do work on themselves, they're coming from a place of lack. So they're not enough, they're not they're not enough. They have to prove their worth. They have to do everything for everybody else. And what happens when you start to show yourself the way? Is this landing?
Yeah. Just me to a T.
Okay, so now we're on the right track. This is good. So when you start to do the work and invest time, effort, and money into yourself, and you start to raise your self-awareness and all those wonderful things, it then flips over to abundance. So you are, even if we look at your training plan for this year, you are now training because you can achieve better, because you can smash PBs out the park, not because you feel like you have to do it just because so-and-so's doing it, or do it because you are scared if you don't do it, then your friends aren't going to be happy, or whatever, The same for business. Is there still an element of you doing it because you're coming from a place of lack, or have we now crossed over the kind of like midway point and it's all about abundance?
Definitely all about abundance. Without a shadow of a doubt, it is. Yeah.
And how does that feel different?
I can, in a way, I can take compliments now about my work and what I do. Before, I would just be like, oh no, don't say anything nice, because I don't think it's very nice, and I don't know whether I've got the right stuff. I would always be concerned about what I was buying and whether or not it was going to sell and all of that. Whereas now I'm just like, do you know what? It will. It will. I know it will. I've got that self-belief.
Love that.
Whereas before I didn't have that self-belief. And I know that the shop will carry on being a success.
It's fucking incredible. Every time I walk past, I'm like, oh, if I only had a home. Kitting it all out. Okay, so what do you struggle with now? Because we've talked a lot about how fucking incredible things have been. And I always think, as a coach, as an individual who's done a lot of work, the work never stops, right?
It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. And, you take the rough with the smooth as well, the ups and the downs. And on those down times is the time when you actually are learning so much. If you take the time to reflect and delve deeper into it. It's like on the highs, it's just, you're not necessarily learning, i.e., it's those tough times that do make you stronger.
And so what are your main struggles right now?
Oh, main struggles. I think it's new routines.
Yeah.
Definitely. But they're coming. And I also believe that I can create even more time. I know I probably do certain things like scroll holes.
Scroll hole.
I'm going into a bad habit with scroll holes. So I know that I need to rein that in. And I think it's a kind of boredom in a way. And you just do it automatically rather than, if I've got something hard to do. Was it you that said this the other day? Or somebody else? I can't remember. When you're sat there at a desk with the computer out and you've got a hard bit of work to do, instead of actually just cracking on and doing it, you kind of go, oh, there's my phone. Oh, I'll just have a look at it for a few minutes. Yeah. And then it's like, holy shit, I've still got to do this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not, looking at Facebook isn't going to magically make it disappear.
No.
So I need to be more aware of the time that I'm wasting with regards to that. Other struggles, I keep on preaching about consistency quite a lot, and every now and again I dip off that consistency mantra, which is ridiculous, because I know that consistency is key to everything.
Okay, thank you for your honesty. So I want to dig into point 2 and 3. So point 2, it's bizarre because, like you say, we could have a monstrous end. I know you've been doing your accounts recently, so end of year accounts sort of thing, right? We've got that to do. The phone is there, and that is instant gratification. And this is all about, like, so for me, I'm really working on at the minute for myself, personal boundaries. You know, because we talk about in Coaching Club a lot about boundaries with family, you know, whoever, other people, you know. Your personal boundaries are the ones that matter most. Your actions, when no one else is around, when it's only down to you, are literally the ground you walk on. And so this is when you come to that moment, first of all, you've got to have the awareness to go, I'm on my fucking phone again. And then it's going, right, okay, what is my commitment? And this is why we use the term eat the frog, because it's like, right, okay, you might, like, if you've got into a routine of, you know, drop George off at school, go to the gym, then it's work mode, but maybe you're working from home, so then there's a bit of a delay or an opportunity to procrastinate. That's where we need to focus and go, okay, so how can we overcome this procrastination zone? And again, you said earlier about planning. If you don't fill your diary with high priority tasks, and even though, you know, end of year accounts and all that sort of stuff, it's not what we want to do. It's not fun, but it actually has to be done. So if we don't fill our diary with that stuff, by default, it will fill with low priority. And that's like scroll home.
Absolutely.
So again, a couple of angles at that there is, you know, are we planning in the stuff and literally being like, this is your hour to do said hard task? And the second thing is maybe a journaling question for you later, personal boundaries.
I need to delve into that and set them without a shadow of a doubt. But it comes to anything, doesn't it? It's like with food, personal boundaries around food, especially when you're working at home. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that, I don't want to do that now. Oh, I know. I'll just go to the fridge. Or I'll go and get a coffee when actually all I want is a glass of water, but it takes a bit longer to make a coffee and you're just distracting yourself away. So yeah, there's a lot of work I can do there.
And it's so powerful, like productivity hacks. That's where I'm spending a lot of my time, like learning and researching at the minute, because I know Molly May massively got shot down for this comment, but we've all got the same 24 hours in a day. Yes, we all have different responsibilities, but they're like, I always say to people, if you're struggling with time, give me your phone, let me look at your screen time. Let me see how much time you're spending on Facebook, on Instagram. Let's have a look.
And do you know what? I think my scrolling has got worse since our check-ins have changed.
Okay.
With not having that, how much time are you spending on your phone? Because now I don't look.
Oh.
So I just kind of go, oh, okay. Whereas before I looked at it and went, fuck.
Yeah.
You know what? That much time? And writing it down, I was just like, oh my God, I'm really embarrassed about this.
I quite like that.
So maybe that's something to bring back in.
I'm keen. And I'd even forgotten that we had that on the previous check-in, and that's accountability.
It is. It is. And it's a simple one as well, isn't it?
I might put that on the Saturday post that we do. Because then it's like publicly, I've spent 9 hours a day on my phone. And then the final thing you said there was, imagine, everyone's going to hate you for that. You know that?
I'll hate it. I'll be like, oh, fuck. Sasha.
Why did you make me say this? You said about consistency, and I know on our last call that we had last week, we kind of like reviewed, because it's been a busy time with getting Freddie and obviously, you know, a few different circumstances going on. And we actually established that your consistency has not been bad.
Yeah.
Because, and so for anyone listening to this, consistency is not going to be the same week in, week out. Consistency is not a straight line. And when you have family situations which increase the time demand, career situations, any circumstances which do require more of your time, you are going to have to dance with that. You are going to have to go, okay, I normally like to go to the gym 3 times and run twice and blah, 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 blah. But actually, okay, I'm going to go to gym once. I'm going to combine a walk with X, and I'm going to really honor my sleep and my nutrition, because that is going to help me to feel better. And you have nailed, like, bearing in mind, December, January are so busy for you, and we've had different kind of circumstances thrown in the mix as well. You've nailed it.
I've done pretty well.
You've nailed it.
I have done pretty well.
But again, that's the high achiever in you that's like, but I want to be doing it.
I could be doing more.
Yeah.
In a way.
And this is where reflection is so important. And I know, like, you've obviously got some events coming up this year and some running races, and you had some last year, and it's about, right, how can we really do those better? So it's every time, like you said earlier, you don't learn when you win, because you either win or you learn, right? You don't win or lose, you learn or you win, right? So you have learned from this really busy period and gone, I actually nailed December. Did December really well, and January it just got a bit rocky.
Yeah.
So now what lessons can I learn from January to take into the rest of this year? And what does the, you know, if we go best case, average case, worst case for your next race that you're doing in April, what does that look like? And then if we, like we did this morning on the kind of goal setting session that we did, how do we plan for each of those outcomes? What does it look like?
That is so true. And do you know what, actually thinking about it, I knew this, that actually one of the races was on April the 2nd.
2nd is
it?
Tuesday.
No,
12th.
It's the 12th. Yeah. So actually that's in the next sprint then.
But that starts now.
I know, but I completely forgot to put any of that in. God. I was just like, okay, I'm focusing on this. And now you've just reminded, I'm going to have to go back on. Okay.
Yeah, and then
different
it's
training plan.
looking at your training plan, going, right, okay, so April 12th is that's a
26-mile hill.
Right, walk sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you running it?
Hopefully.
Yes. So we've got
I'm insane.
8 weeks.
Yeah,
8 weeks.
8 weeks. I'm skiing for 1 week as well.
That's good training.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
We can
Good
deal with that. Okay, I like this. So we know where you're still struggling with. So what I want to know is, to finish up, because I think we're good. Future MG.
Oh, I love these questions. I will be so much calmer, I think. I'm calmer now, but I think I will be even calmer. I will be living a more fulfilled life. Everything's kind of a bit more, because I am doing it now. And appreciate the little things in life, and be healthy.
Yes.
Be here, you know, so that I can watch George grow up, and if he has kids or whatever, see grandchildren, and have freedom as well, and mental clarity. All of those things. Not asking for a lot. I haven't got a lot to work on, really.
But isn't it, like, again, this is the lack and abundance thing.
Yeah.
It's no longer like, if you look at where you were when you joined, when we had that initial call, the first couple of weeks, it's always a little bit overwhelming. It's a bit like, what the fuck even is this? Is it wizardry? Like, what am I doing? If you look at how you were when you came into the program, it was very much like, I'm stuck. I don't know what I need to do. I don't know how to get from this place, but I just don't want to be here anymore. When you come into this journey, you slowly but surely start to make the changes, and then you cross over that midway point again. That is where you get to choose your challenge. And that's where we come into Rise, and that's where we come into the kind of like upper elements of the program, where, like what you said when you finished that race last year, and you were like, yeah, I did it in a good time, but I fucking know I can do better. And that's the point that you're at now. It's like, I'm so grateful for what I've got. I'm so grateful for where I am.
So unbelievably grateful.
But now I want to see where else I can go.
Yeah.
Curious kitten mindset.
Yeah. And that's exactly it, isn't it? You know, I don't think I was particularly happy pre-CC. I don't know how to be happy, I don't think. Whereas now, you know, you take joy from so many things. And it's not just big things either. It's little things. And yeah, it's something to celebrate, I think.
Definitely. And this is the thing, right? So many people come in and they go, you know, I've got a great family situation, everyone's healthy, I've got a great job, a nice house, and I don't feel good. That's so common when people join. And it's like, it's because happiness and cliche, they are cliches for a reason. It starts from within.
It does, doesn't it? And you've kind of got to know what you want out of life.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know, then you're always going to be struggling and wondering what the issues are. And you really do have to delve deep within you to work it out and take time with it as well.
Yeah. And that's values. It's looking at needs.
It is.
But so many people think that a glass of wine on a Friday night makes them happy, or the holiday makes them happy. But actually, there's so much misalignment.
Well, it's all about the experience, isn't it? It's not the holiday per se is going to make them happy. It's the kind of being present.
Yes.
Having, I don't know, good people around you, good conversations, communicating with people. If you kind of go and just lie on a beach all day and read a book, yeah, you might be quite relaxed, but actually it's about human interaction. And you get joy from talking to people.
Unless you're absolutely fucking knackered.
Unless you're knackered.
Which a lot of people are.
That's true.
And they go
That's
on.
true.
And this is, again, a big shift. And I think I probably had in the whole time of CC, bear in mind, we've almost had like 200 ladies who've gone through the programme. Only a handful of people, but they've gone on holiday and they've actually been irritated because they've got so much energy. They've booked a beach holiday and they're like, fuck's sake. I think you said last year as well, I don't really just need a lying down holiday anymore.
No. I don't want it anymore. I don't need it. Whereas probably actually pre-CC, I'd be counting down the days to be able to kind of get on the plane. And the first thing that I would do on the plane is fall asleep.
Oh, really?
And I would, my friends laugh at me all the time because I would just get on a plane, fall asleep from when we took off to when we land. Then if there was a long transfer, I'd sleep the whole time. Wow. And they'd know to put me in a kind of window seat so that I didn't disturb, so they didn't disturb me. Yeah, it's insane. But now, well, I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, it's still quite nice to have a nap when you can, isn't it?
But I would just, be out of it.
Amazing. So to finish, I know I said that before, but final thing.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who is feeling how you felt before and doesn't know what the fuck they need to do, but they are just feeling like life is passing them by, they're kind of like missing out on life, not being present with their loved ones? What words of encouragement or wisdom would you kind of pass on to them?
I would say take some time. Take some time to sit down, stop, and just kind of be for a while and work out what it is that you need and want and desire out of life. And then talk to other people, because there are so many people that feel exactly the same way, and a problem shared is a problem halved, isn't it?
Yeah,
really. Yeah, I would say that. And then maybe give Sasha a call.
Side plug.
Because that'll help too. Massively.
Because that is the thing, right? Like, some people will be, driving to work, and every morning they'll be thinking and taking that time and going, I'm not happy, but I don't know what I need to do. And I think sometimes people can get stuck in that like paralysis analysis sort of stage where they're literally like, I don't know what to do, so therefore I'm just going to stay stuck. And I think, you know, kind of like what you did, whether it be coaching club or whatever, I really don't care. You sometimes just have to take a leap.
You do.
Fuck about, find out, and see what works for you.
Exactly.
You know, I've personally had mentors in the past who I've gone and kind of, even one last year, got stuck in with them, and I was like, oh, I do not like the way they work. So it was like, it's been great, but no, thank you. And we're all allowed to do that. Fuck about and find out.
I love that.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much for being here with us
you.
today. I'm sure there will be an abundance of value and kind of relatability taken from that from so many women. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm so excited to see where we go this year.
Can't wait.
And for everyone at home, thank you so much for listening.